We're live? Okay. 10 seconds. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Oops, I'm not on. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Adam, could you lead the pledge for me?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and do roll call. Libby?
Here.
Tanya?
Here.
Becky?
Here.
Robert? Here. Fritz? Here. I declare we have a quorum. Do I get a motion? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, new business. Certified contractual nepotism policy for elected officials.
Joe stepped out, but he and I talked about this. This isn't really anything that the council needs to act on. It's each of you individually every year need to certify it. So it's not really an agenda item, but that's for let the public know that
Okay.
we're doing what the law says, which is each of you certifying that we're complying with the law.
So no vote taken, just
No.
is what it is. Okay,
Just
good.
sign it.
You should be certifying that.
This could be a quick meeting. Unfinished business. Second reading of the 2021 salary ordinance. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the second reading of the 2021 salary ordinance as presented. There were no changes, right, Joe?
Actually, the only change I did make today that's in your packet there, on the front of the salary ordinance, there was a identified for utility clerks.
Oh,
And
right.
with, changing that over, made it towards 3 utility clerks and then 1 office manager.
Right.
And that's pretty much.
Okay,
Got it. I made the motion.
made motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. Reports, town manager, Joe.
Well, that was fast.
I don't mess around.
Yeah, it's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
Been working on the road miles that we submit back to NDOT. We do this every year. It helps us do our paving management program and helps us get our funding through the state to maintain those extra roads. I had President Fitz sign this right before the meeting, but there's almost 1.7 extra miles this year we picked up that will be maintained. So this packet will now be sent to NDOT so we can distribute.
Thank you.
The next question I've got is, with those extra roads, I need to go ahead and update our stop sign ordinance because we've got some additional roads that have stop signs that need to have an ordinance to back them up. I'll be bringing that to you maybe at the next meeting. I did have a question for Alex. Main Street and Staff Street with the new project is going to be a 4-way stop. Can I go ahead and include that in the salary ordinance, even though we're not going to sign it until the construction starts?
In the
Sign ordinance.
Road ordinance?
not
In the
salary.
stop sign
Yeah, the
ordinance.
stop sign ordinance, that's the salary.
Yeah.
We're going so fast. I know there's no way we're going to do them both at the same time, which is not going to match. And I think having a sign up there without an ordinance to back it is probably worse than having an ordinance without a sign.
Yeah, so the answer is yes.
Okay.
And then if there's going to be a delay in time between when the ordinance is adopted and the signs actually go up, then we can just indicate that in the ordinance that, effective upon and put a general date or leave it open to tie to the project. But yeah, I agree with you. If we're gonna write tickets and expect people to follow the sign, let's have it in an ordinance as best. We can write
My-
that.
The only thing that we'll keep monitoring that stop sign because sometimes we get a lot of traffic going from Main Street. It's if there's ever a problem where it starts backing up to the railroad tracks, we'll readdress that later if that ever
Yeah,
happens.
we'll look at that. I think that the Staten Main has been an issue for a long
Yeah,
time. We can't
I
see,
agree.
And the presence of a stop sign has been requested for quite some time.
Right.
And this project was designed to have the bump outs and include the four-way stop at that location. So, yeah, we'll evaluate it if there's
Okay.
any issues and we need to do anything with it.
Okay. Anything else?
The only other thing I've got is obviously with this COVID thing, and they're kind of backing down a little bit. We've not closed down the town hall or anything like that yet. But just to let you know, it depends on how things go. You know, that could be a possibility that we might.
Re-shut down. Okay.
Kind of taking. We'll play that by ear.
So maybe by next Monday too, we'll know if we're going to go to Zoom.
Yeah,
On the
that
following
could be up to
meetings.
council. I mean, depending on the agenda too. I mean, if there's not much on the agenda, they're really looking at everybody together and bringing them in. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Okay.
I don't know if we've got much on the agenda going forward. Do you have anything much? Everything on the end of your argument for your life. It's up to you guys.
Okay. But I know we went to Orange, but if we go to Red for our county, then we probably should go to Zoom.
Yeah, well, right now we can have 50 people in the room.
Okay.
You just let me know. I just want to make sure that we can advertise it in the time to get it out there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Joe?
Hey, did you have the ordinance for us to sign for salary?
Yeah, well, you've got a copy right there. If you want to use that one, you can use mine. Everybody's got a brand new copy in their folder. I'll trade you. I'll take this fine when you're done.
So you're adding a position then
Thank
for
you.
the, is that the way I
Swap
understood
one
it?
out.
Actually, what I did is this utility clerks used to say
Mhm.
4 people.
Okay,
I moved it to 3 and then changed it. So I just moved one of the people out of clerks.
okay,
Utility clerks down.
okay.
Heath, you're up.
Keith Luther, Parks Manager for the record. I don't really have anything other than, I believe Joe passed it on the last one, 4th of July fireworks are scheduled for, I don't have a calendar, the 10th, the 12th, whatever that Saturday is afterwards. The question moving forward then is what, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. What does the council see is kind of the plan or envision as to what the 4th of July looks like? I ask because if it's something that we are taking over wholly as a town, that planning process probably needs to start here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, frankly, obviously this is all COVID dependent, with everything that's going on, but I don't like to be behind the 8 ball. So I want to start planning now for any kind of collaboration or, festival that goes along with it.
Who are you working with Libby on this?
Libby, but I mean, the goal would be to hopefully have this Friends of the Park,
Take it over.
501c3 put in place that could help with volunteerism. I don't know if it's a collaboration with FAI and the
I
chamber.
think it's everybody, yeah.
Okay.
I
And then-
just,
That's what we're planning.
How are they divvying up the booze? Who's selling?
well,
booze
that's just
space?
it.
We
We've
haven't
never
done none of
done it
that.
before.
I mean, that's,
Haven't discussed that?
No.
Okay.
No, this
Okay.
is something we've never done.
Yeah.
I've got my own ideas on how that can work, but in the past it's been strictly the chamber through Landmark Park, and then FAI has done some stuff down Knoll and Stat and some of those other places. But I think the general question would be: is it something that it's a collaboration, but they have to get approved through the town at that point in time? Maybe we as a town put out a master plan and say, okay, maybe FAI gets this section, the chamber gets this section. And then the next question would be is how we as a town, profit isn't the right word, but how do we not lose money on the event? Is it a percentage of the money that they're charging for vendors? We get 10%. I don't know what that looks like
Well,
yet, but that's what we need to start looking at.
I think in the past, the town looked at it as a marketing type of thing, that we're doing the festivals. And we weren't making any money on the deal, but what it was part of in business, you have marketing, and
Right.
it would be part of something like that. We're just marketing the town. And so, but that's up to you guys to decide.
What I'd like, since I've been working with Heath and the Friends of the Park, I would like to see some profit go towards a program or something to benefit the park. Playground equipment, everybody would buy in on that, I think,
Right.
or to help with a trail or something that somebody could see at the end of
Right.
this, that we could have something that goes towards that.
Okay.
Would be my hope. I don't know.
Well, and I guess the question would be is if it's something we're taking on as a town, not only now are we doing the fireworks, but now we're talking about man hours and labor hours spent on planning the whole process. At what point in time, do we have a number, hey, we know this is going to cost us $10,000 for the event. We're fine with eating $10,000, or do we want to try and recoup some of that maybe then goes into, trees planted at the dog park or, something along those lines. But, I want the event to go off, but I also don't want it to be a burden for the town from a financial standpoint. I'm not necessarily too worried about the labor side of it. We can make it happen. But I don't know what that's going to cost us to make that happen.
Okay.
So,
Have you ever figured that out, the electrical in the town, how many employee hours we use to put up the road barriers and?
We have in the past.
so 2 years ago,
Depending on the event.
it is 2 years ago, Winterfest, I think we were the chief, you were somewhere around $7,000 or $8,000 maybe ish.
Probably closer to 5.
5. Okay. So 5, we had 5 in the fireworks. And then that was kind of the debacle that was that year. It ended up being somewhere around $15,000.
Okay.
Between labor hours. We figured it out that year with, cleanup and things like that. And then obviously we had people manned to do trash and stuff down Main Street as well. So those hours paid. So it was somewhere around $15,000.
Okay.
And that was just the Winterfest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I believe it.
Oh, that wouldn't be Winterfest if you're going fireworks.
No, I'm sorry, 4th of July, not the Winterfest, 4th of July.
Okay, you spend that much on 4th of July?
Well, the 5,000 was for the
5,000 was fireworks. And
And
then
then
you're
you're-
adding in, it took 2 days for 2 people, man hour wise, to clean up the trash that was in the park. You're talking the barricades that were set up, time off, the man hours that were considered for the street department to take from what they were doing. All that was added in. It was somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Okay.
And Winterfest was right up there as well.
And then we know how much the electrical was on that
We
day.
did back then.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any
And I
questions?
don't have a problem with that either. I mean, I think that we kind of looked at you being the Parks Department being the manager of all this.
Right.
And then calling on our groups, the Friends of the Park, the FAI, the Chamber, Tammy's Cause, anybody
Right.
that wants to help facilitate that, and you get your connection with your one person or whatever with those groups, and they report to you. They have to approve through you. We'll give them the guideline, just like you said, or the Parks Department will, on where you set up vendors and that sort of thing.
Right.
And the actual plan of the day, I guess.
And so again, like, I don't want to keep anybody out, right? Like, the
Yeah.
more the better.
Yes.
So I think it just needs to be a little bit more of a collaboration with the direction from the Parks Department and the town. Now, it may be something, if we get enough volunteers and through the Parks Department, that we could even set up our own booths to, possibly bring in some donations, sell pizza, whatever the case may be. I know other people have done that as well. So again, it's kind of big picture right now. I don't really know what that all looks like, but as long as the council is okay with, kind of moving forward with us planning it, then I can kind of move from there.
I'm okay with that. Are you guys okay with that?
I'm okay with you. We talked.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm okay. It needs to be you and the Parks Department and the Friends of the Park that we've all kind of talked about. Outside of that, sounds like there's other things and other ideas. I'm happy to share. You guys, I think all of you guys already know my thoughts on that, but I'm happy to share again whenever you guys are ready. My thoughts on this are, the initial idea was to be, again, not profit in the sense of the word,
Right.
but how do we channel funds into the park, right? And again, not a big moneymaker, we know, right?
Right.
But my concern is, and again, concern sounds a little big, but if we have other entities, they obviously are going to want to, what's in it for them,
Right.
right? That's the question. If I were on their boards or what's in it, right, for us to go do this? So we would have to have, if any of these organizations would be like, what's funneling back into us to sustain us, to keep us going? So the more of these organizations that are there, that's a lot more moving pieces. And then where do the proceeds all go? And is there enough to go around?
Right.
Right? I question that just in a knee-jerk reaction. And playground equipment would be awesome, right? But Joe, I mean, those things are 6 figures. We're crazy if we think this is gonna generate that
Right.
kind of a
Right.
proceeds, right? So,
But as long as there's a goal that people can see, like, nobody wants to think that the town's going to profit. So if we have a project that funds,
That's
that
right.
people know, even if it's not going to buy it, it's a start that
Right.
people are going to believe it, and it will.
that's what folks can support, right?
Yeah.
Something they can see. And the more that's chopped up, the lesser the shorter the distance that's gonna get. So that's my only question I have in that, right? And I don't know what the right answer is yet, but we need to be planning that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so to your point, is it something that's wholeheartedly run by the town and Friends of the Park side of it versus chopping up that, or delegating, I guess, just different, us being the overseer, but everybody else kind of doing their own thing to continue. I know the chamber used it for, a big event for them as far as,
Right.
profits. I know FAI has done that as well with running booth space. And, I don't know how much money any of those entities are truly making off of the event itself.
Right.
But I'm sure there's some being made there. Whereas we as a town have, and not that it's not a bad or a good thing, but like we've just spent money with nothing necessarily in return without funneling that to your point, the parks or,
Mhm.
buying new barricades for the street department or something like that. So,
Right. And so from the labor perspective and all that, I view that kind of as that's donating to ourselves, right?
Right.
Right. So, and then we kind of had, we were sharing some of the, like Labor Day, for instance. Maybe that would be a big collaborative one. Maybe if somebody wanted to do fireworks there, that'd be even a bigger potential, right? But try to make a go of the Friends of the Park having to run at the Independence Day celebration, right? See where it goes. And then we can do a collaborative event around another date. Labor Day just stood out because there's nothing on that weekend.
Right.
And it's a long weekend,
Right.
right? Seems like it's just ready-made for something. So just my thoughts.
well,
That's
and
the
frankly,
that's the direction I would go, that I would share,
Okay.
but I'm just one.
and if things get back to where that people are going to be itching to do things like that. So to your point, Labor Day, the old
Mhm.
Bastille Day, whatever the case may be, any kind of events like that, there's going to be a big push for them, a big need for them, with the way things have been. So,
Okay.
any other questions about anything else?
Oh, how's the dog park doing? More people signing up?
Yeah, we're sitting, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but the last one I looked at, we were 54, 55, somewhere in there.
Okay.
We'll get ready to roll the membership over come January 1. Get new keys out to everybody and go from there.
And if they're non-resident, let's say they're building just on the other side on Ohio.
Mhm.
What is it? Non-residents like $10 or $15 more?
No, there's no difference in fee for resident
Just saying.
versus non-resident. Yeah, we don't have anything in our ordinances, our fee schedules that are different for like the shelter house and community center. And that's why we just kind of kept it the same across the board. So
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Adam?
Good evening. For the record, I'm Adam Zaklikowski, the Planning Building Director. I just wanted to go over something very quickly, just to bring you all up to speed on the Stellar Facade Improvement Program for Main Street. So if you'll recall, there are 3 buildings that would be undergo some exterior rehabilitation as part of that grant program. One is Fox Garden, and then the VFW has 2 buildings side by side. And I just wanted to bring you up to speed as to where we're at on the program overall. So we signed the contract with the grant administrator back in August. We started the procurement of the architect process back in August. Subsequently, we did an income survey that's required under federal law to get those funds. Then it went to the state environmental review agencies for the Section 106 review, as they call it, again, as part of the federal criteria, because this money is ultimately coming from the federal government. So that's everything that's been done to date. And then the things that are coming up is the business owners would put in their match that the RDC determined in December. There'd be a public hearing in January before you guys. I'm not 100% sure what the scope of that public hearing is. I think it's probably more out of federal requirements. Then in January, our grant administrator, Klein Peter Consulting, would submit the application to the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, OCRA. We'd officially get the grant notification towards the end of January. It would go out to bid in March or April next year. And then the bid would open April or May. So the bottom line is that the construction would start in June or July of 2021, and it should be complete by December of 2021. So as of right now, the good news is we're still right on schedule. Haven't lost a beat. So hopefully it'll stay that way. So
And they're going to coordinate that with the Main Street project too?
yes,
The building?
yeah,
Okay.
because there will be, there'll obviously be that going on with the infrastructure repair work. So it'll be pretty busy down there.
Because by July, they should be on by Jake's built area, shouldn't they? They might even be passed.
I would think so. That's something that we're gonna be having another stakeholders meeting here real soon with all the property owners and business owners along Main Street. And then also we're gonna have the contractor there, since the contractor has now been selected for the project. And then we more forward the timeframe of
Okay.
how everything's gonna play out.
So if you have
Any
any
questions?
other questions? Or?
I do. You're still working with Lindsay on the state release and what's required
Yes,
by the
we are.
state? Okay.
Mhm.
Because I think the other business owners are interested too in what you guys work out on that. So Kevin and Bob and Dixon and all of them know that what we're looking for.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Missy's not here. So Chief?
Good evening. For the record, Bill Kennard, Chief of Police. I have just a few things. I'll try to make it quick. As Joe touched on earlier, with the town hall still being open, the police department is kind of stepping back also as far as allowing people into the building. We've imposed a couple other things, like I'm going to keep my officers away from the front desk area, pretty much not past my office area, to try to help protect the girls and the staff up there. So we're still going to continue to provide reports and property release and gun permits and things of that nature. However, we're going to try to do that with the people outside the building. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And I also made the police commissioners aware of that today also. I wanted to touch on something that Heath brought up, which I appreciate. That, you know, these events that the town puts together, like the Winterfest and the 4th of July, that is somewhat of a burden for our police department because we are such a small department. We are fortunate enough to have reserve officers that can come in and assist, and it doesn't cost us anything except their time that they donate. But we as a department don't pay any overtime to any of those officers, but we do have to give it back to them in comp time, which is at time and a half. So that's where it becomes very tricky for us to try to zero out that comp time before the end of the year. So yeah, there's a cost involved, but it's not really a dollar amount that we're paying out, if you will. We're paying it out in comp time is what I'm saying. And that goes for the summer concerts. Now, the summer concert series, not so much because I try to be there for those. And then the on-duty officer, we try to have some officer present. We've never had an issue there that I can't think of one issue we had at any of the events per se at the park. Well, we had one issue at one point, but it was taken care of. It was a minor issue. So these events are good, I think, for the community. Hopefully we can get back to the summer concert series and our national night out and things of that nature, because I think it's really good for the community. We are ready for Winterfest. As everybody knows, it's scaled way back this year. That's the same day as our Shop with Public Safety. We are going to move forward with that. In fact, today, I think we received information from Walmart that we received a grant from them for $3,000 towards Shop with Public Safety. And I think we probably took in another close to $2,000 or $3,000 today from private donations. So we're going to go forward with it. Of course, everybody will be required to wear a mask and do the thing. Both vehicles are on the road and equipped. We got that finished last week. It was a challenge equipping the kennel car because that had to be custom made for that vehicle. But when we projected what it was going to cost to do these vehicles, not knowing equipment and everything else, we got pretty close. We came in a total of $645 under our projection. So we're good with that, and it's all done. I want to ask the council's blessing to look into new video equipment. I have already gotten 3 bids. The lowest one is about $18,000. And that's for the intoxilizer interview room, the property room, and the police department as a whole. That does not include any equipment for any of the other parts of the town hall. So I am looking at 2 other companies. I just want to continue to explore it a little bit with you guys having the knowledge that that's what we're doing. We have to have good video equipment. And the current system we have is not cutting it. The software is proprietary. They have to download special stuff at the prosecutor's office to even view it. So I am looking at that with your blessing to move forward on that. Of course, once I get the final numbers, I'd come to you and for final approval and through our purchasing policy through Joe. So,
A few questions.
okay,
So you have money in your budget for that, right?
I do.
Yep.
Now I may have to move money from one group to another group or multiple groups,
I
but
knew you did. I just wanted-
overall, the funds are there, I believe,
Yeah,
yes.
you hadn't mentioned that, so I just wanted to start there. 2, when was this current system, just so they know, when was it purchased? How old is it?
Well, we modified it. It was purchased when I got here because there was nothing. There was
none.
there was an old system that videoed my office for, I don't know why, but nothing in the property room. And the interview room that we have now was actually the fire department. So we did not have an interview room.
Right. I think
So
that's why there was a camera in there. I think sometimes they use that office, I think, for that stuff.
they used the squad room is what they used for
Well,
interviews.
Is that going to include a camera outside, like the door, like the outside of the the police department?
No,
Okay.
no. None of these quotes, none of these bids that I have coming in right now, that includes the interview room and the intoxilizer room. the squad room, and the property room. So nothing outside. Now that could be added but I think we could probably get a cheaper system for outside through something like Sam's Club or something like that with multiple cameras that would probably have to be ran through a different system. But yeah,
Okay.
but yes, the money's in the budget, I believe.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, I'm not done yet.
Comment on something Bill said earlier about as far as, we typically don't pay our people overtime. But like you mentioned, when we pay them in comp time and they're all time and a half, when you're already dealing with a short staff as far as manpower goes, in the police department and in the street department, giving them all, that extra time and a half on a later date when you might need them, it doesn't cost money, but it does stress all the departments.
Could
So why don't we
somebody
pay?
volunteer from the Friends of the Park maybe to pick up the barricades or?
I'm
To
not
help
saying that
out?
we can't,
Oh,
we
okay.
want to help. I mean, we,
Well, why don't we just go ahead and
We're
pay
part of
them
it.
instead of giving comp time?
we can, typically, we don't pay overtime, and it's budgetary reasons. We do put money in our comp time or our overtime budget,
Budget.
but it's only usually when something big happens as far as, you have multiple snows, water main breaks, stuff like that, where you can't get off. Same thing with the police department. They've got situations that come up that they can't get their guys off flexi hours out, and you start to build up so much comp time, and then we'll look at it and then.
Could you like
Down
ask
to a
for
reasonable number.
volunteers for events like that and then pay them a certain amount to do it? Could we do that?
Hmm.
Instead
Well,
of comp
we-
time?
That'd be a problem for the volunteers that set up barricades. We did it for the 4th of July event.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I'm okay with that too, but
Are you talking about for the police officers or for just volunteers?
I'm talking about town employees and.
Well, yeah, you set them up, but the town's got to get them out there for you to set them up.
Yeah, they got them out there for us and they picked them up.
Right, yeah.
That's kind of a slippery slope, and
We're happy to do it.
that's why I was pointing at Alex. It's kind of a slippery slope, because if they're there, and we can ask for volunteer, but then that gets to be kind of sticky, and he can speak to that, because they're there working, volunteering on behalf of the town.
They're an agent of the town at
Right,
that
and
point.
so they've got to be paid technically. You could speak to that.
They definitely want
Paid.
paid.
And you also create a
Yeah.
situation where the town, where Bill, for example, or Joe could be accused of, we were encouraged
Right.
to volunteer. We just don't, it's just best not to toe that line.
Mhm.
We dealt with that.
Now, our reserves officers understand that there are requirements that they have to meet. That's per our policies. That's spelled out in writing. So as far as what they work, the holidays, they have to work one holiday a year. That's all spelled out. So we encourage them, but it's also,
You're not anywhere close to doing anything inappropriate.
right, right.
And trying to figure out if there's a way to address the number of hours that street and police and others are putting towards these
Now,
things.
these volunteer groups are like from the chamber. We have our own liability policy. Wouldn't that cover our volunteers? Instead of it falling back on the town, I thought that was the purpose of us getting insurance.
I mean, if the volunteers are coming from the chamber, then yes.
Then they would be covered. So basically, all the,
But the chamber's policy is not gonna cover Fortville PD or street.
no,
department.
no, but they have their own policy.
Yes.
And then the Friends of the Park needs to have a policy, and I'm sure the Main Street group has a policy which will cover their volunteers.
They should.
Yeah, we require that. Yeah.
Yeah, the town requires a certificate of insurance.
The town will still get sued,
Yeah,
but hopefully the contract and their policy holds up and they present and indemnify the town. So we're there, but,
yeah, there was everybody.
is taken care of.
So for the police department, we try to get our comp hours down to 0 at the end of December. But we encourage our officers to burn their vacation time also. Well, that's hard to do when you got officers filling in for another officer and building those comp times. So we have a overtime budget. And it's not a big, it's like $5,000. But at the end of the year, if we have an officer that is got so many comp hours, because our policy now says if you don't use your vacation, you lose it, which it's always said, yeah, which that's a discussion for another time because it forces them to take time that they probably didn't want to take anyway, and they still have the comp hour issue that has to be addressed. So Joe and I will sit down usually towards the middle of December and say, hey, do we need to pay this person out for the comp time or what? But the money's budgeted there. So speaking of comp time and pay, I wanted to thank the council for their due diligence and the salary ordinance. I can speak for my entire department when I know they say thank you. 2020 has been a tough year, and I know it's much appreciated that you guys passed that ordinance tonight. The other thing I'm looking at, I know you thought I was going to be short. The other thing I'm looking at is a thing called LPR. It's a license plate reader. And you may have heard of this before. Fishers has them. Greenfield's going to them. The sheriff's department's going to them in locations out within the county, I believe. And what these are mounted in strategic places around town. And it's through CJIS, the Institute for Criminal Justice. It's compliant. And basically what this does is it reads license plates nonstop that come through. So say Greenfield has a robbery and the only information they have is a red Buick. We would get an automatic alert on our MDT computers of every red Buick that came through Fortville during that time frame with a time delay. Okay. So we're looking for somebody that smashed a window at Bonsai's, and the only thing we know is a purple car with a partial plate even, or no plate. It will tell us every purple car that came through that location at between 12 and 2 o'clock in the morning. So we are looking at those. They're not cheap. They're about $2,500 a camera. They run on solar with a 80-hour backup. I don't know that we are seriously going to look at where strategically we would want these placed. Obviously, we want them at the entrances and exits of town, and maybe one downtown in a strategic place. But it's all integrated through our CAD system. So, like I said, if Fishers has somebody come through town, it's a wanted plate for whatever offense, robbery in Marion County or in Fishers, we would get those alerts. This car was last seen at this location, going this direction at this time. So IMPD East District's going to them. I think it's something that we need to explore and look at. Again, it's not something that we would do this year, but I think it's something that we need to look at. Now, Fishers has them on their vehicles. And what they do is they constantly scan plates. Drive through a parking lot, it scans all the plates. It'll tell you if this car is wanted, this car's stolen. The person that owns this car is wanted for something. And it's a very good tool. It's a very good tool. I kind of got mixed feelings about it from a law enforcement perspective. I think it's great. But how much does Big Brother want to get involved here? As far as, knowing everybody's business. Yeah. So it is something that we're looking at. And I wanted to make you aware of that. And I think that's all I got, unless you have questions.
Any questions?
I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you after the holidays.
Thank you. Alex?
I don't have anything unless you have questions for me.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Public comment. Paul, come on up.
Paul Cook, 719 North Crystal Drive. Talking about what Heath was talking about, I know with Fortville Action, any money they make, like at Winterfest, gets spent on the town one way or another. It's going to help do the concerts. The concerts got canceled this year, but they were giving out gift certificates and having the businesses pass those out to the town folks. So, any money they make does get spent on the town. So it's not like they're taking the money and going down to Greenfield to spend money. It's spent here.
Mhm.
Second, in 2019, your minutes that you approve every meeting were getting posted to the town website.
Mhm.
And somehow after the first December meeting, they're not getting posted like they were before. And if you look at the town website under the forms, there's the agenda. Sometimes we have a recording of what the meeting was, but I'm not finding anything posted for minutes. And I just wondered why they're not getting
Oh,
posted.
I haven't looked there in so long because I'm at every meeting, but
It's interesting, I don't know if it's just on your end or like a public site or something, because I recently, within the last couple of weeks, got in and printed off every 7 minutes for the whole year.
Well,
So
I can't find them on the town website. So
we'll take a look.
you might
at it,
look
see if
at
there's
it.
something
We have the
wrong.
same problem with the Board of Commissioners.
Okay,
So,
we'll take a look at it, see how they're appearing. and
All right.
appearing.
because I'd like to go back sometimes and look at stuff. And
right.
it used to be posted.
I find it easier to just go to YouTube.
I don't want to sit there and go through the
Uh,
an hour meeting just to find something out.
I'll try to get them
All right,
smaller.
thank you.
They're on there, you need to go to scroll down to the documents and it's 2020 minutes.
Well,
And you can listen to.
there's
them
a
and
spot
look
for
at
2020 minutes.
them. I just pulled up like February 18th. You go, there's the agenda and then,
All right,
so they're on, I don't know that, I didn't check all of them, but at least some of them, so.
Like I said, I just printed the whole year off. So
I'll look harder at this.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, town council, Libby,
No, I have nothing.
Tanya?
With,
Uh-oh.
with this, the website thing, I was wondering how come our calendar doesn't come up with what's going on there anymore. There's nothing on the calendar, like when the council meetings and stuff are, that's on the website. Because I've had to get on there sometimes because I forget and I don't have my sheet with me. And I get on there and I can't, it doesn't have it on there anymore. Can't find it right
Oh,
this second.
yeah.
The
Used to have
calendar that's
the
on the website.
Summer concerts and all that stuff
Yeah.
in there.
It-
Not a lot going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's
yeah.
why.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
But that
Well, we'll
was,
take a look at that.
We're still keeping that on the calendar and also the shelter house availability. When you look at it, you see what days it's available already. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but we'll take a look at it.
It's showing up, I mean, it could be just device specific.
Uh-huh.
But it's like on the homepage, you scroll all the way to the bottom, I mean, I see upcoming events and we're all here in RVC this Thursday,
Yeah, so it's
BZA next Wednesday.
on the cover, on the first page.
Yeah, on the homepage.
Yeah, see, when I do it, it doesn't show anything.
I wonder if it's because it's on your phone.
Even on my computer at work, it doesn't show me anything.
should be, yeah, mobile ready.
What browser do you use?
Hmm.
In your computer, there is
Chrome.
considered mobile, isn't
Yeah. But
it? Yeah, it's-
It's got the date, it's got
mine's
them.
old too.
Yeah, so that's-
Yeah, it has them blocked,
Stupid
but
keyboard
nothing's
doesn't
on 'em.
work anymore.
It just says nothing. 12 to 1, there's nothing, I don't know.
Okay.
The office is closed that day, it's on here. But
That's important.
hey now,
Oh.
I'm high tech.
Uh-huh.
I got my tech in line. At least I think I do. Anyway, that was all I had.
Okay, Maggie?
I noticed they're paving 67. Are they gonna come all the way down through Fortville?
No, that's part of the Stellar project going on down through Fortville. They're
Okay,
gonna be, they're working on the design of that right now, and I think that's slated for 2023. Could start the summer of 2022.
that was my next question. If they were gonna do any laying changes down through town, but they're not going down through town at this point.
That's
in
not
time.
part of this project.
Oh, I had something else. Did everybody read the chicken letter?
Yes, very good.
Everybody with the chicken letter?
I have not seen it.
I
yet.
didn't see it.
It's on your email.
Okay.
Okay.
One little change.
I saw
Did
yours.
it come
So you
through?
want him to be the one to sign? Was that all I got out of that?
Oh, I
Was
saw
this-
Yeah,
that
and
email.
and only that, for the only suggested change I had was on, in the future, if there are complaints that couldn't be resolved, I gave the council the latitude that the council may revoke the privilege. Because my thought process there is, if there's a dispute, you guys may think it's resolved, the neighbor doesn't think it's resolved. I want you guys to have the authority to say,
Okay.
this is
Mhm.
resolved and this is just a grumpy neighbor, or this is legit. And you're not holding up your end of the bargain. No more chickens.
Okay.
So, that's.
Go ahead.
process behind it.
Yeah, go ahead and make those changes and I'll sign it next week or.
So everyone should have that, and then
It probably needs to be on the town letterhead too.
Mhm.
Joe, were you on that email?
Oh,
So you got it.
I can put on letterhead and get Chris to sign it and share it with.
Okay.
I don't see where you made, did you put that on your email to me, Alex?
Yes. But I do know that
Put it away.
Microsoft Word track changes will come up on a lot of phones.
Okay, I'll look on the computer. Oh, here it says open word. I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. There it is.
Now, this is the letter needs to go to the property owners as well.
Yeah, I got
It's
it.
just their letter that they can.
I can send it to them, give them a copy.
I'll fix that and then I'll email it over to you and then it should be ready to go.
You'll be the enforcer.
Well, I said, what'd I say? Town official or an employee. So
Designated.
if somebody wanted to do an inspection, they could, so. If so interested. Okay, I'm done.
Robert?
Yep, I just had real quick, on my last solid waste meeting, they gave us the numbers for the last collection event, and there was only one this year, so they were kind of big. They had 574 people at this last one, and it was really, really busy. And they had 256, let me see here. They had the breakout here of all the various things they had. And there were some pretty big numbers on here. They had 151 tires brought in, 1,400 gallons of paint. And as far as the popular one's always the electronics, right? They had almost 59,000 pounds of electronics. And that, it could be computer monitors, you name it, all of that stuff. And so I didn't get the, how many tons of the paper shred. They didn't have that there yet, but overall, a very, very busy and successful collection event
When's the next
So-
one that we're gonna have here
next year.
next year?
Oh, I've been lobbying. So since they only had one this year, we got money in the budget to do one up here next year, hopefully.
Last
So
year we did it at the township property. didn't
that was 2 years ago. Well,
Yeah, it was
I don't
2
know
years
that it was
ago.
this past, it wasn't this past one, so, or this year, it wasn't
we?
this
Had a
year.
lot going on.
It was
Yeah.
last
Those,
year, yeah.
those big heavy TVs from the 90s, they add up.
The
Take
two-
about
Yeah,
3 or
right.
4 of them weigh about
With
1,000
projection
pounds.
TVs, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was last year. And then I think that if it's all the same for everybody, if we come up with, one of the reasons we were here tonight is whether or not we wanted to give advance notice for Zoom meetings going forward. So rather than wait, I just didn't know what everybody's thoughts were, so we could make that decision now so folks are aware.
Well, I'm thinking, if we have a meeting here, we have to post 48 hours prior.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing would go with the Zoom. I think we need to post 48 hours prior to making that decision.
I'm fine with-
You are right, and that's what the law would require, so, and with our meetings typically being on Monday, weekends don't count, so we would need to repost by Wednesday before the council meeting.
Okay.
Um,
Well, let's just play it by ear and see what happens with the news and how many more cases are. I looked at that site
A lot of them have been on.
last night after, and it does seem like 52% of it is 80 and over. It's 52%. And then from 70 to 80, it's almost 25% of the casualties. And so it's pretty specific.
I mean, so,
I don't have any comments. Pardon
I
me?
mean, if we want to do that, we probably, right around the time the agenda comes out, we probably need to be deciding that.
Okay,
That'd be a good,
Let's do
that'd
that.
be a good reminder for us.
Well, now when we send the agenda out and make it public, it needs to have the Zoom information on it.
okay, let's do that.
That said about the 48 hours.
Usually we're
pandemic,
known by the
these are
Monday
exceptional
before.
times. And so had the council decided to go to Zoom and I was tracking texts or emails today, that would have been fine. We're not gonna get
Okay.
a nasty gram from the public access council. or anything else. But if we can comply and give more notice, that's always better.
Okay.
Did anybody find the email that Joe forwarded interesting or helpful? Because I still get those too, and I appreciate you sending that out. That came from
Oh, yeah.
the hospital's
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
That's all, that's it. That's all I had.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve and sign vouchers?
Make a motion to approve and sign vouchers.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a
Opposed?
motion to adjourn at 7:51.
I second.
I was making good time.
Way to
Yeah,
go,
I was
Bill.
done
Slow us
15
down.
minutes.
We need a vote. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody going to the
Mm-mm. I won't be.
I think you're supposed to tell them no.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was just RSVP if you're,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I did, but I'll look at that.
Yeah,